Hello, I'm Robert, fact checker and science blogger, and helping people who are scared of many things. And this time it's about COVID-19 and how to deal with it if you've got it, or if there's someone in the household who's got it. And sadly, this is not really well understood. I'm in the United Kingdom, and our government has just not explained this properly. Not thoroughly. I'm constantly helping people in the United Kingdom who don't know this basic thing. They just don't understand it. COVID-19 is very different from flu. With flu, then you have a very short incubation period, and then you're most infectious just before you show symptoms, then just afterwards. A very short infectious period as well. And then it spreads pretty much uniformly. It doesn't have super spreading in the way that COVID-19 does. And you can get it from random people, in strangers in crowds. And in all respects, COVID-19 is different from flu. All those respects. With COVID-19, then it spreads mainly in super spreader events. It's not so much super spreader people as super spreader events, in which one person will infect lots of people, that you are infectious for a very long period of time, probably 10 days. You are most infectious just before you get it, like with flu, and the first few days, but most people don't give it to anyone, even their spouse, even their partner. Then only one in five will actually give it to their partner. And so this is why it is so especially important. If you get COVID-19, then don't think like flu, okay, I've given it to everyone in the household, there's nothing I can do. Because it's COVID-19, then if you've got symptoms of COVID-19, first of all get tested if your country permits that, and then think about who else is in your household. And if someone in your household has COVID-19, even if it's your partner or spouse, the chances are you haven't got it yet. So it's really important to protect yourself. And the people do this, and this is done very successfully. There's a video, some of you may recognize this. I'll come to that in a minute. So I'll first of all explain this. So these are the instructions from the World Health Organization. And as they say, clean your hands frequently if you're ill, and stay at home, don't attend work, so that's right at the beginning. And then we would normally get tested. Stay in a separate room, and from other family members, and you should have your own separate bathroom if you possibly can, a dedicated bathroom. And this, well, and you cover your nose and mouth, and normally nowadays we have the fabric masks, so this is from before those days. And the early advice, but they're pretty much the same as it is now. And in that way, you're preventing yourself from passing it on to other people in your household, who would want to pass it on to anyone else. And if you are the carer, if you're caring for someone, it's the same thing. You'd always wear a mask when you are caring for the person. If you're caring, you have to come closer than 1 meter. Then always wear a mask, both of you. And it should be a clinical mask, a proper clinical mask, disposable. Get a new one every day throughout the period when you're caring for the person who's got COVID-19. That's what the World Health Organization says. The NHS doesn't have these instructions. And then the same thing as before. I think we've been talking about the fabric mask as well, and monitoring your health. And then this is very important. If you have any difficulty breathing, call your health care facility immediately. This means people I help get very easily scared. They have panic attacks. You may well be familiar with a panic attack, but if you the very rapid breathing you might get in the middle for a few minutes, tens of minutes, with a panic attack. This is talking about doing normal activities, and like going up and down stairs or something, and you just find yourself breathing very heavily, just lying in bed, and it goes on for an hour or so, whatever, or it's just unusual, and you don't panic attack, and you're breathing fast, and anything that isn't like your normal baseline that involves difficulty breathing, immediately contact your emergency line or your fast contact, like I think it's your COVID-19 helpline or whatever it is in your country, immediately. And the thing is that if you get breathless, then if it's COVID-19, your breathlessness is due to not getting enough oxygen into your blood. There is no home remedy for that. You can do things to make the breathing more easy, to help resolve the symptoms, but you can't deal with the problem that you're not getting enough oxygen into your blood. And for some reason, COVID-19, people feel very comfortable, even when they've not got very much oxygen in their blood. And so the doctors remark on how often people come in with COVID-19, they're tapping away at their mobile phone. They should be going, they should be having a really difficulty breathing, and they're not. They just got their air. You take the oxygen level. Oxygen is really low down, and yet they don't seem to be concerned by it, and they should be finding it difficult to function. So COVID-19 is a little bit strange in that respect. So you really have to be very hyper aware. Also, some people their lips might go blue, or the skin might start going blue, and they don't have any apparent difficulty breathing. So you've got to watch out for that as well. So with COVID-19, more than anything else, if they have any difficulty breathing, contact them immediately. And they also find that if if they treat them straight away, if the oxygen levels go down, it's good to get one of the oxygen monitors and put your finger or something, I think, and that will monitor your oxygen level. And if it goes down, if your oxygen goes down, then they find treating with supplementary oxygen very quickly helps your long-term prognosis. So it's not just that the emergency, but someone can die. They can die by trying to home treat lack of oxygen. That's happened to so many people with COVID-19. And again, in the UK, if you look up, it says if you've got anything that concerns you. They don't really. The CDC are much better than the UK NHS on this. They don't really properly explain that this is absolutely essential. If you're breathlessness, immediately call them up. Don't hesitate. Don't feel that you're annoying them, and they will immediately treat it as an emergency thing, and they'll probably send an ambulance round. And this is for the caregivers again, and wear a medical mask and frequently clean your hands and so on. Oh dear, I shouldn't be doing that. I don't have COVID-19, I just got a bit of something that I ate or something. A bit of a tickle in my throat from just had my meal, and I got a little bit of something went down the wrong way a little bit. So, but that was a good demonstration of what you have to do. And this was shared early on with Wuhan, and it got quite widely shared early on, but people seem to have forgotten the lesson now that they've moved to some of you may remember this video, and it's a Chinese man, and that's his spouse, that's his wife, and they both were wearing masks all the time. So I remember people were talking about that way back when it was the Chinese doing it, and he completely covered up. So at that time we were quite aware in the United Kingdom it was really quite a serious disease in China, and we saw him doing this, and you had the feeling his wife is quite risky to look after his wife at home, and he was being so careful, and you were thinking about how brave he was to be looking after his wife like that. But we don't see it like that anymore. Now that we've become so familiar with it in the United Kingdom, we just don't have the idea that it's dangerous anymore, like we did when it was in Wuhan. And in China, then actually, and would be the best thing if the United Kingdom did this, it's actually far better to isolate the people with COVID-19 away from their home, or at least away from the people in their home, and to have special hotels for them. So it shouldn't really be him looking after her. Really, if it's done properly, in order to protect the people who haven't got COVID-19, then she'd be staying in a hotel room. She would have all the everything, food given to her, just like he's doing, but by properly trained people. And so it'd be all the same, but they're properly trained, they're wearing full gear and everything. And so you can, it wouldn't be compulsory, but it would be permitted. It would be supported, and especially for people who can't keep separate like they were able to do. If you can't isolate, you can't keep your a separate room, or if you can't, then you should. We should be supporting people to isolate properly. Because when she got ill, then he didn't have COVID-19, and he protected himself from COVID-19. Well, that's just a bit of it. There's no lot more than that, actually. So this is my basic point. In 11 minutes, I don't think these are all technical details, and what they should be doing. Of course, if feasible, it's not so easy when you've got so many cases, but they should have been doing that. At the end of the summer, the United Kingdom went down to very few cases. They certainly could have sent a trained health worker to every case of COVID-19, who would then inspect the home and look and see whether this case of COVID-19 was able to isolate from the rest of the household. They should do that as soon as they're tested. As soon as they know they've got COVID-19, then they should be sending a trained health worker according to the World Health Organization. That's their advice. If it's feasible, send a trained health worker to look around the home and advise them how to look after the patient with COVID-19 properly, isolate them properly. And then they should definitely offer isolation in a separate ward, ideally in a ward, hospital ward, but of course you've got shortage of wards, so in a hotel or community centre where it is being run in such a way that there's no risk to the staff and the people with COVID-19 are protected. Because it really is a serious disease. It's a very serious disease. It's not like flu. Especially if you're quite elderly, you've got a high risk of dying. You're most likely to survive, but there are plenty of stories of people who have died. And young people can die from it, very rare if it's under 20, but in your 20s and your 30s, and the older you are, the more the risk it does become a small risk. Once you get to, say, 90 plus, then your chance of surviving from COVID-19 is roughly the same as your chance of surviving Russian roulette, where you have 6 chambers and you've got a bullet in one of them and you fire it at your head. So if you're 90 plus, I mean, that still means that most people are going to survive, even at age 90. But you don't want to take that risk. And who would want to play Russian roulette with their lives? So, and then it's almost Russian roulette with your health, if you're a young person. It's something like 1 in 10. It's hard to get the precise figures. You're playing almost Russian roulette with, by the way, the death rate is down for the very elderly people, and of course it'll be way down once they can be vaccinated. That's why the priority is for the over 90 plus, especially. This 1 in 6 thing is really quite a high number, and but that is being reduced by things like dexamethasone and knowing that you've got to do the oxygen treatment quickly. But you really, with the young people, the risk is long COVID, which you can get at all ages, but long COVID doesn't have the same risk factors as serious COVID. The long COVID can affect anyone. They can be very healthy, young, vibrant. It doesn't make a difference. Nobody quite knows why it happens. But 1 person in 10, quite randomly, nothing to do with their age, nothing to do with how healthy they are, then 1 person in 10 will get long COVID, where months later they're very, very tired. You get various symptoms, different depending on the person, but you might be so tired that it's difficult to go down to your shop and just down the road and can do a bit of shopping and come back. You just feel it's just so exhausting to do that. And then a lot of them have mental fog, and these are people who used to run up and down mountains or go kayaking and stuff like that. You can imagine what a change it is. You find it difficult even just walking down to the shop. And then also a mental fog, where you forget how to spell words. You have the idea of the word, but you don't know what. And then you also have that thing that where you've got the word on the tip of your tongue. You know there is a word for the concept you're trying to convey, but you're not sure what the word is for quite common normal words. And then you have, and they also will have things like, if they're trying to read something, they have to have rather simple things to read. If it's even slightly complicated, it's really quite difficult to read, and losing their enjoyment of reading normal books because it's just so difficult reading it. And so and that can continue, and for some people that's continued for 8 or 9 months. So again, you don't want that. It really is a serious disease, and these people who've had it for 8 or 9 months, they don't know. There seems to be a general progression towards getting better, but with lots of setbacks. Sometimes you have to go into hospital, sometimes you have it mild early on, have to go into hospital a few months down the road. They might become breathless and need treatment for that. And so, this can go on, and just sometimes you feel a bit better, and the next week you're down again. So you get this with flu, you get this mind fog thing with flu and colds. It only lasts a couple of days. For COVID-19, for some reason, it can last for months. It's very unusual. The disease is quite amazing for the huge wide range of different effects it has on the human body. Many different things. And it's very, very unusual, the wide number of effects that it has on the human body. Just by all, it has effects on the brain, on the sense of smell, on the mind fog. It has the effect on your lungs, it has effect on your heart, and so you shouldn't take very vigorous exercise because there's a risk of heart attack. If you've got with kind of long COVID, you've got to be a bit careful about that. People used to run up mountains, you've got to be a bit careful, and it affects just about it. The thing is, it infects, for instance, the lining of the blood cells, of the blood vessels, I believe, and then it does affect the brain, and not in what seems to be a reversible way, and it does just has so many effects on the body, on different organs in the human body, and also on your digestion system as well. Some people lose the ability to digest food properly with COVID-19. So it can have a whole lot of very different. You get an awful lot of indigestion because it's interfered with the normal digestion of food. It's really quite extraordinary, the huge range of different effects it has. It's not just flu. It's nothing like flu. It's not related. It's different virus altogether. So, yes, do be careful. Don't be. If you have someone at home with COVID-19, then if you are likely not been infected yet, you are not going to help them by getting long COVID. If the chances are you'll be fine, but it's basically kind of Russian roulette again with long COVID, and you just don't want to take those sort of chances. And even if you've got several friends, they've all had COVID-19, and none of them have had long COVID, then you might be the one who does. So please do take this disease seriously. And I say that to everyone I help. They don't necessarily listen, but this is the advice from the World Health Organization and from countries that have had early, from China, when people had it very bad early on, and this works. And it's you're not only helping yourself, you're also stopping it from getting through you to someone else as well. You're reducing the risk. You become the end of the virus instead of being the starting point of the virus. So it's really, really important. If someone in your house has COVID-19, then the best advice is to be very careful and really look up what the World Health Organization advises you to do. And nobody in your country is going to object if you're more careful than the government is telling you to do. So in the United Kingdom, sadly, our government and our National Health Service is not really giving you access to these documents in the World Health Organization. If you click around on the NHS website, there aren't any links to the World Health Organization. Not enough that I've seen. And I think very few people in the United Kingdom are aware that this is the actual advice that the World Health Organization give. And we have a much weaker, laxer way it's presented. And I think it's because of experience of flu. We had all the plans how to deal with the flu pandemic, and we just rolled those out and then modified them to make them somewhat more COVID-like. But bits of it still look much more like advice for flu than like advice for COVID-19. And I think that is part of what's going on in the United Kingdom. So, anyway, find out for yourself. I'll put the link to this article that I wrote. Click through and read what the World Health Organization say, and then make your own decision. I know what I would do if I was in a household with someone with COVID-19. I'd be like that Chinese man. I'd be very, very careful. You don't need a full body suit, but I would go through and follow what the World Health Organization say. I'd be very, very careful. So anyway, hopefully this helps some of you. And if just a few of the people who watch this are a bit more careful, and if one or two of the people who watch this don't get COVID-19 as a result, then I will be very happy. At least you can't help everyone, but you can do something. You can never feel you can't do anything. If just one person less gets COVID-19, then that means all the people they could have infected. It could be, you following this advice could maybe, with a lot of people, with only 1 in 5 of the people who follow this advice, there was going to be a super spreader event in their household. But then that super spreader event could have killed their granny. So, just if you get COVID-19, then please, make your own mind up. I can't tell you what to do. I can only suggest and find out for yourself, and make your own decision about what to do. But I'm pointing you in the direction of what the World Health Organization say on this particular matter, and they are very, very experienced. They deal with 200 epidemics a year, 200 incidents a year or something of many different diseases. Far more experienced than many of the governments that they advise.